Welcome to our 2022-2023 Food Show Guidelines Overview, as well as a contest overview. So over the next few slides, we'll talk a little bit more about our food show contest and everything it entails. So as a quick reminder, if you are going to serve as an adult volunteer, a coach, a leader, anything like that, you must be enrolled through 4-H Online, and any youth that plan to participate in this contest must also be enrolled in 4-H Online. So that's going to be our Clover kids, juniors, intermediates, and seniors. Anyone who's going to participate needs to be in 4-H Online or they will be ineligible to participate. So this year's theme for Food Show is going to be backyard barbecue. So when you're picking your recipe, just think about what your favorite dish at a backyard barbecue is. And real fast, for those of you who did this theme last year, the themes now will be for 2 years. However, this will be the last year for this theme, and we will get a new theme in January or so. So when you're selecting your recipe, you need to think about the 4 food show categories. So there's appetizer, which is typically going to be that smaller dish or food that is eaten prior to the main course. And when selecting recipes for this specific category, y'all should really consider foods that are lower in fat, sodium, and calories so as to not ruin one's appetite before you even get to the main dish. So our main dish is going to be the heaviest, heartiest, and most substantial dish in a meal. And the key ingredient is usually a meat or another protein food, but they may contain other food items as well. Our third category is our side dish category. So these are dishes that are typically served along with the main dish, and some suggested dishes could be salads, cooked vegetables, a fruit bowl, pasta, rice, anything like that. And then our last category is going to be healthy dessert, which is obviously served at the end of a meal or for special occasions. For this category, y'all should look at modifying some traditional recipes with some healthy substitutions, and then really look at My Plate and some other dietary guidelines when you're selecting recipes for this specific category. So when you're looking to select a recipe, so here are just some tips to follow. So one, make sure it fits the theme of backyard barbecue. And just remember, not all the recipes have to be actually grilled. It can be anything that you could cook inside on a stovetop, in an oven, or even like an air fryer, Instant Pot, anything like that. And the recipe must fit into one of the categories that we just talked about. So it has to be an appetizer, main dish, side dish, or a healthy dessert. When you're selecting these recipes, make sure that they are healthier recipes than you typically would eat, or maybe they're old recipes you have and you've found ways to add in healthy substitutions to make it healthier. So if you are cooking something, you do have a time limit of 75 minutes, so you cannot go over that time limit. And that rule is really important for our senior aged kids because at the state level, they will actually prepare their food on site. So when they only get that 75 minutes to work in an oven. Next, so again, when you're selecting your recipe, make sure that you are not doing any type of outdoor grilling. Indoor grilling is acceptable, like using a George Foreman, anything like that, but you cannot have any open flames or anything like that. And then lastly, make sure to pick a recipe that is age appropriate. Obviously, for our Clover kids and our juniors, we don't want their recipes to have 100 different steps to it because that's just too much for them. So pay attention to the age of your kid and the skills they have in order to create these recipes. So some theme resources, because again, our theme is backyard barbecue, and these can all be found on the county webpage. You can look into the Texas Beef Council, Dinner Tonight, USDA, Texas A&M University Barbecue Texas, and then the Barbecue Guys, as well as Pinterest, all recipes, really any place where you can find and select recipes. So once you've selected your recipes, some of these recipes might need to be updated into a better recipe format. And so this format that you see right here is the format that you need to follow for county and district if you move on from county. So if you're not sure how to write a recipe properly, here's an example, which again can be found on the county webpage, just kind of explaining the thought process behind why you put stuff certain ways in a recipe, really spelling it out in a recipe, and just making sure it's in the correct format. So after you've written your recipe, here's a little checklist, again, just to make sure that you have everything in your recipe that you should have. So you need to make sure you list all of your ingredients, all of the directions, any materials you would need, like a baking dish, certain equipment, like if you're using an Instant Pot or an air fryer, anything like that. So now that you've selected your recipe and you've created your recipe for the day of the competition, there are 3 parts to food show. So there's going to be a presentation and an interview, a skills showcase, and a knowledge showcase. So for those of y'all who haven't done food show before, this is a relatively new format for this contest. It's been around for about 2 years now. So we're still kind of learning this process, but we are going to do all 3 parts at our county food show. So for the presentation and interview portion, each kid is expected to have a max of a 5-minute presentation. Obviously for the younger kids, we're not expecting them to be right at that 5 minutes, but for the older intermediates and seniors, we really would like them to be close to that 5-minute presentation. So in that presentation, they'll introduce themselves, they'll talk about their inspiration of the dish, how it relates to this year's theme, talk a little bit about My Plate, nutrition, how they prepared the dish, and then food safety. So then following that 5-minute presentation, the judges will have 4 minutes to do a question and answers with the kids. So that could be something that is directly related to their recipe, something on the scorecard, general food and nutrition knowledge, maybe some skills they learned, what they do outside of just food show that relates to their food nutrition project, anything like that. So then after the presentation and interview, the kids will do a skills showcase. So at the county contest and the district contest, these skills are going to be age appropriate, pretty common for the most part. They'll be scored based on the correct completion of the skill, and then all materials needed will be provided that day by us at the county office, and then the district committee will take care of that. So some examples of some different skills that the kids might do is they might be asked to measure dry and wet ingredients, or even just select which measuring cup is used for dry ingredients, which is used for wet ingredients. They might be asked to garnish a dish appropriately, or select a knife and cut a certain item. So the skills are a wide variety. We don't necessarily have a list of skills that they need to memorize, but it's typically going to be basic stuff that they would be doing in the kitchen anyways. And then the last portion, which we will do first at our contest, is going to be a knowledge skill showcase. So this knowledge showcase is a 10-question quiz. It'll be multiple choice, true or false, fill in the blank, anything like that. And again, it'll be age appropriate. Obviously, we don't expect our 3rd graders to have the same exact food and nutrition knowledge as our 12th graders. So each division will have their own quiz to follow. There are no study materials provided, but on the county webpage, there is a link to some resources where we pull information from. So we're not completely throwing you in blind. There is some study material out there. It's just not exactly like, hey, here's question A, memorize this, that kind of thing. And then here are just 2 examples of some questions that could be used. Something like vegetable juice is considered part of the vegetable group, true or false? Where should you take the temperature of food? And then all those answer choices. And then afterwards, we will grade that test and then input those scores into the presentation and the skill showcase. So here is your presentation scorecard. So to receive maximum points, you do need to cover all parts on this scorecard. So you'll see the theme, the knowledge of My Plate, nutrition, food prep, and then food safety. And then at the end of that, you'll see where their skill showcase score will go. So again, day of the contest, they'll do their presentation, their interview, and then go straight into their skill showcase. They'll be scored by the judges. We'll take the scorecards, and then we will tally scores that way. So if you're still not sure exactly how to put your presentation together, this outline will be on the county webpage as well. And so this is a really brief outline that one of our 4-Hers and their parents put together to kind of help get your presentation going, especially for our new families that don't necessarily know exactly what they're supposed to cover within those 5 minutes. So like I said, you'll be able to find this on the county webpage. I know the font is really small in this video, so you might not be able to see it. So please make sure to go visit our webpage to see the actual document and use it to help you start building your presentation for food show at the end of next month. So some deadlines and dates. If you had this date in your calendar already, it has been moved. So we will actually move food show recipe upload to October 7th. Since I'm a little late getting this out, I wanted to give y'all a little more time to find y'all some recipes, and be able to put them in the correct format, all of that stuff. And then our county contest will be October 22nd at 2 p.m. at the 4-H building. And then for those of y'all who qualify for the district contest after county, that deadline to register will be October 31st on 4-H Online, and the contest will take place on November 17th. So those last 2 dates, don't worry about them just yet. After we get through county, I'll make sure to get you all the information needed to go to the district contest if you qualify. So these are just some county-specific rules for our contest that's happening in October. So the age divisions we allow are going to be Clover Kids, Juniors, Intermediates, and Seniors. The Clover Kids aren't going to be expected to do a presentation. They are more just going to talk through the dish they created, why they picked that recipe, stuff like that. Recipe upload. Recipes must be uploaded by that October 7th deadline. Anything after that will not be accepted since we are already pushing the deadline a week later. And they do need to be put on the recipe submission form that you can find on the county webpage. If they are not in that form, we will not be accepting those entries as well. If you have issues, obviously reach out to us and we will help you work through those. But if you have issues and it's after the deadline, we will not be assisting with that because, again, we are sticking to that October 7th deadline since we are pushing it a week back anyways. So servings. This is not new, but we're bringing it back this year. So the food show participant should be presented in a serving dish with a serving utensil provided completely by the contestants. We are no longer doing that one disposable container, mainly because we met as a committee and we decided that we wanted the tasting following the interviews to be brought back. So for those of you who don't know, we used to have an opportunity for people to come in, either parents, guests, other kids, to taste the dish that kids had created for the food show. But I do want to say, if you would like people to taste your dish, so make sure to bring plenty. This will take place after your interview and anyone can taste it, but they are tasting at their own discretion. Texas A&M AgriLife Extension and Tom Green County are not going to be liable for any sicknesses that may arise. So real fast, just to run through the schedule for the day of the contest, we'll start registration at 1:45 p.m. At 2 p.m., everyone will need to be in place so we can do our knowledge quiz. As of right now, we're going to try to do it electronically, but if for some reason that does not work out, we will do a paper copy test, and we'll have pencils and everything that the kids would need to take that test. And then at 2:15, we will start the interviews. And so that'll just be probably from about 2:15 to 3:15, 4 o'clock, just depends on how many kids we have registered. And then once we're done with that, we will have our awards shortly after. So again, following the interview, they'll go straight into their skills portion that they will do in front of the set of judges that they have for their interview. And then if y'all would like to bring enough food for people to taste, again, that is going to be at y'all's own discretion and whoever's tasting it's discretion. That will take place directly after your interview when you go back to sit at your table. So if you have any other questions or need some clarification on some of the rules or something, please contact us at any of the following places. So you can call our office at 325-659-6522. You can send me an email, or you can just come by our office at any time between now and October 7th to get any of your food show questions answered. I hope that this wasn't too much information for y'all and that y'all learned a little bit. Please make sure to read our county letter on the county webpage. And again, make sure your recipe is submitted the proper way and by October 7th. Anything after that will not be accepted. We hope to see y'all at our food show on October 22nd.